Hello, this video is to explain how to draw joist details for structural purposes. So when you're specifying any joist, it could be wood or metal, you should indicate how the connections will be made. If it's steel, it may be uh, welded in place or it may be bolted in place. And so for those details, you need to specify the size of the bolt, the type of weld, and all the other stuff. And for wood um, framing, you would also have to detail or call out the connections that needs to be placed. So if you look at this picture right now, you can see here the joist and it's connected to this beam. And in this beam, they are connected with this joist hangers. If you have a wall and the wall will not go on top of a joist, then you must install this perpendicular not joist but blocking and secure them with this L-shaped hangers so that the load will not transfer just onto the plywood floor. Okay, and to figure out these details, you can look at spec guides. Okay, so spec guides will be sometimes coming from the reseller of the truss system or the joist system. So in this case, this is BPI. This one is Q's Wago truss. You can also look at the installation guide. But let's say let's open this Q's Wago. And when you open that link, it will give you this PDF. And on this PDF, you will see details of how the joist should be connected. Okay, it will tell you the sizes of wood or of the end of the wood. It will tell you how to identify the joist. 14-inch will be the depth, and then OJ318 will basically be calling out the joist itself, the open joist. Okay, so you have either the option of using a 2x3 block end, or there would be an OSB plywood at the end. And these are all engineering numbers about the L360 span. You'll learn that if you take structural engineering. This is uh, beam calculation, and at certain lengths, you have to have certain loads or strengths. Okay, so when you go further down, you might see like warning signs that you can't do this kind. You can't cut through the joist like this. Let's go. Okay, you can't drill a hole there, you can't notch it, you can't cut on top of it, you can't drill vertically, and you can't basically notch it and attach it to the wood like this. So these are all not permitted. These are um, not standard, and they actually don't have any strength on them. These kinds of notching or cutting would actually reduce the strength, if not make the joist a failure. Okay. So they would tell you how to install your plumbing in between these joists and all that other stuff. Okay. Um, what you really wanted to see on this case is how will you make the connection for your project. So if we go to our framing plan for the joist, you will see here that the joist is connected to this PSL beam. Okay. And the joist is connected to this wall, and how would that wall be connected? So those are the types of connections that we need to find out in order to properly detail out this building's joist connection. So going back to our PDF, you will see that this is basically how it's going to be connected to the wall. So this is the top of the wall, and the joist will sit on top of it, and then the end will be covered by a rim joist, okay, or a rim board. If you are connecting to a beam, you would have to find that detail of this beam. Okay, so I don't see it here. This one is how would you connect uh, joist on top of a wall, and you would have to insert a blocking. Okay, um, so if you go, so this one is like what I'm talking about a while ago, where you put in a horizontal bar or blocking, and then you put the wall on top of it. That's the connector that you need to use, just like this one. That's a connector that's being shown here. You also have this perpendicular blocking. And what does this perpendicular blocking look like? So on our plan here, perpendicular blocking goes like this. That's perpendicular blocking. Okay. This is also perpendicular blocking. So those are the kinds of connections that's being shown here. Okay. That's the same joist. These are blocking here, and this one with the yellow edge, that this is called your rim board or your rim joist in such case. Okay. Here's a cantilever. We don't have this condition in our project. Okay. Another condition here is when you have an I-beam and you want to connect them, so you're going to use a hanger. But this is something that we have on our project. We have a connection just like this, which is this one here. But this one is an I-beam. This one is just a solid beam. Okay. So for those solid beams, you have to find the correct detail for that one. Uh, this one is where you have the beam resting onto the joist. So this is the opposite of what we need, because this looks like this. This is what we need. The joist connected to the beam. Okay. And the joist connected to the beam, you have to find that here um, if it's here. If it's not here, okay, like this one doesn't show it, um, you would have to find it either from the installation guide or from some other guide from the manufacturer. Okay, there's certainly a lot of documents. Um, here's the hangers that you can use. What type of hangers would you prefer? Each hanger has a different spec and strength. So you you may want something like this. In this case, this is a Simpson strong tie hanger, an IUS model. It has a little notch here that goes here. A lot of engineers don't like this, or architects don't like this, because this one um, will bulge the plywood a little bit, so it would create a little dent on the plywood. Certainly something like this also will make a little dent in the plywood. What you really have to do is make a notch, a little bit of notch on the beam, on top of the beam. So this one is flush with the surface. And this one's for the I-beam. This is something that we can use, but this is for double. Okay. But in reality, this is for double. We really want something like this. Okay. It doesn't go over the beam. There's certainly a height that we need to do, and this is a Simpson strong tie MIU system. Okay, so once you have located the correct connector, you may want to look at Simpson MIU system. So you may want to open up your internet search and type in Simpson strong tie MIU. Is it MIU? I forgot. Okay. MIU medium face mount joist hanger. So it's this one here. So if you click that, it should give you additional detail on what type of hanger is this. Okay, MIU system, and it should give you like a sizing chart over here. Okay, so for our beam is 16 inches deep. Okay, so you would have to find something that is 16 inches. Here you go, this is 16 inches, but this is for 5-inch wide joist. Here's another 16 inches, and this is for 4 and 5/8 wide joist. Okay, 4 and 1/8, another 16, 4-inch by 16, and another 16, 3.5. Okay, so you have to go back and look at your joist, what kind of top cord, which is the size of the cord, size of the wood on the very top of this joist. And usually it's just a 2x4. Okay, so if it's a 2x4, or sometimes it's a 2x6 or something like that. Okay, this is a different model. This is we're talking about the strong back here. So OJ 418 418. Okay. Well, oh, this is talking about the hose. Okay. So you have to look for the chart that tells you the size of the top chords, and we're just going through this and looking for for a chart that tells us that one. It may not be here. This is for lengths of 360. So okay, so here's a 16-inch 418 weight. Okay, stock length of 20. We're doing at 22 feet, right? 22 feet. Um, so you have a 2 by 3 block ends, and you have a 3.5 inch or 1.5. Okay, so the top cord size would be 3.5. Um, flange width here, OJ418. This is the flange. That's the top cord and the bottom cord, so 3.5. So going back to Simpson, you have to look at the one with the 3.5 inch by 16, and that would be this, an MIU 3.56/16. So that's the model number that we need to spec out. Okay, so you would either draw out this connection that we have. And let's look at another one. So let's close this and let's look at let's say this other one. We look at that one. It's not all the same, and also depending on the region. Okay, some have like colored details, some have black and white. If you look at this one, you have to either draw the detail in 3D, just like what we have there, what we have here, or draw them as a section cut. So here's the detail that we want, detail number 4, because it shows a hanger and the joist is connected to this wood beam. In our case, this is the PSL beam that we have here. So this is a PSL beam, and then you have the joist connected to that one. Okay, so you either have to draw this, or for some joist manufacturers, they actually have CAD details. So if we go back to that document, I think here is a link to a CAD detail for the truss that we're using. So when you click on this one, it will give you CAD details, and you have to find the correct detail that you want to use. And that's the one where you have, oh, here you go. Here's detail number 4. You have a wood beam and a hanger, and you can pull it out and select either a drawing or a PDF. And let's click on drawing. We click on download, and then that should download. And on a Windows PC and Chrome, it will show it download here. When you click that, it should open AutoCAD, and that drawing should open in AutoCAD as a new file. Just continue, and here you go. Okay, so very, very basic. It just tells us this is a hanger, but it doesn't tell us what the hanger is because it's not going to be up to you to specify that hanger. Okay, so what you could do is you can select this beam or this um we can select all of this whole thing here like that, and then we're going to just clipboard copy it and then go to our detail sheet, and you can create a new file just like we did on our detail like this. Okay, or you can just simply go to the model space of where your details are or where your base drawings are, and depending on the firm, they would tell you their CAD standards that, oh, we want our drawings to be separate, or you can put your drawings in there. So it really doesn't matter. Okay, but more often than not, it is best to do it the same way as we did our details. We're drawing them independently. Okay, so we can do a start, and then we can click new. Um, okay, and we can do a save as, and we'll save it on the structural folder. So we have to make sure that we are in the correct folder. Uh, where is that? I think, is it in file structural? No, it's not it. AutoCAD files, structural folder. There you go. Fill in package, and let's call this SVET, and then we can put in joist and 001. Okay. So some firms would have a standard in how you would name their file. So you just click save, and then we're ready to now right click clipboard and paste, and we just paste it anywhere here. Okay. Um, so because this one is not measured, which is has its own benefits, uh, then we can just put it at whatever scale that we want. Okay. We certainly want to move this further down. mm, And we don't want white. Okay. In fact, what we can do is we can select everything and change that to a different color. Okay. So let's say layer, and we are making pin 1 and assign a color of red. Okay. Close that. Select everything. Put it on that layer 1, and assign a color that is by layer. So everything is red. Okay. And then these ones, you should be putting them when we put in the details. You can leave them like this, okay? But we're not going to be in control of the size of the letters, okay? So we're going to leave it like that. This one we're going to leave here because we're going to just use this portion here. And we're going to save this. And then we are going to go back to our prelim ground. And on our prelim, we have our details here on S3, okay? And let's say we're putting in that detail somewhere here. So we're gonna, details, sometimes all the details concerning the concrete is on one sheet, and all the details concerning about the wood framing is on another sheet. So some firms have done that. So we're just gonna mix and match them for now. We are learning how to put in details because the system of organization is depends on the firm. And so this would be, let's say, call this 3, and this would be a joist detail. Okay. And just remind you that this one should not be too small, shouldn't be too big. And actually, this is a quarter. That's pretty standard. The size of your drawing name is standard. And then we're gonna put our SDT Joist 001 here. Okay. So we're going to use the same layer as we use here. This is layer XREF detail. So we're going to switch to XREF detail, and then we're going to do an XREF, and then we're going to attach the drawing from that prelim folder 001, oh, 001, and then open, and then we will just click OK, and we are inserting them like this. There you go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to X clip this. So X clip, select this, and then we are going to make a new boundary by making a rectangular boundary here. There you go. Okay. And we're gonna put this on layer viewport, so we can turn that off later. Okay. And then now it's too small. Unlike this one, when we click this one, we know that we are scaling it down to 1 to 50, and the scale for 1 to 50 is 1.5 inches to a foot. This one is like a random size, which we don't know. So actually, this scale will not be scaled. We will do an what we call an NTS scale. Okay, so we will put an N period T, period S. So that means not to scale. Okay. And then we are now free to scale this into any dimension that we want. So how I do this is I simply select that and I point it to wherever I want. I think it's Control F8. There you go. Put it here, and then what I do is I scale it, and then I scale it from this corner, and I simply drag it until it fits mostly on that paper, on that space. And then I can move it to fit better. And remember, oh, my little snap is on. Remember that this will be turned off later. The viewport layer will be turned off, just like this one here. We're going to turn that off, and so we won't see that box. We won't see these lines. Okay. So for now, we're going to just turn on the viewport. But before we print later final, we're going to turn that off. This may be too close here, so I may decide to like, hey, I want to move this further up here, like this. And then now I'm ready to put in my text. Okay. Um, so I would sometimes just copy this. The best way to do this is to just copy this and then put it wherever it's convenient for me, or wherever I do like it. I'll click this and then I can put this here and change that to, we could say PSL beam. What incarnation? PSL beam. There you go. Okay. And then this one will be your joist. Okay. You see this is called your open joist. We have two kinds of joists. We have the a 2x joist and we have an open joist. Okay. And then this one is our hanger. So we're going to simply copy this again. Point it to wherever, Control F3, right, like that. And then click this and bring this, click this, and point this here. And if you don't like it there, you can bring it down here, and you can bring that down here, like that. And then you will call this out based on what we found out. This is going to be a Simpson strong tie. I lost that. So this is a 3.5 by 16. So 3.5 by 16. That's an MIU 3.5. MIU 3.56/16. So that's this one. Okay, I can just probably select that, Control C, go back to AutoCAD, and double click or triple click, press delete, Control V, and there you go. Okay, now that's just the model number of the Simpson. So you have to put in actually um, the manufacturer, or you can call it out a Simpson MIU 3.56 by 16. Okay, and then you wanna probably add here nail per MFR. So whatever Simpson says the nails how they're supposed to be, then that's how it's supposed to be. Okay, let's pull this closer here and pull this up. There you go. So that's just basically our detail for our joist, and the connection of that piece. Okay, and where would that be? You would now go back to your S1 And um, you would call that detail out somewhere here, okay? And you would say what that detail would look like. So you may want to copy something like this and copy this wherever. Whoop, pull that down, pull this like this, pull this out clear here, and you may say to typical uh, detail, and then so actually this one is an 8, right? Uh, yeah, an 8. Okay. So you would say typical detail. I don't like the where it goes, but and then you would insert one of these. So you do a CP. You can copy this and put that. Control F8 and put that here and trim this and put in number 3. So that means that you are pointing that hey, this detail is typical detail 3 on S3, and that's going to point to this one. Okay, point to that one. So you may need to, as part of your exercise, you may need to find a detail of how is this joist connected to this top of the wall. Okay, so for your exercise for this assignment, you would have to um, point to this detail and call it out as 4. Okay, and then that's where you're gonna put this one here. You're gonna CP this, and you're not going to scale it again, so it's going to be an NTS. Okay, and where would you find this detail? Well, you would find that detail by looking at uh, these documents that I provided. Um, right, so you have to find this detail here, download it. Um, it's a joist that's sitting on top of a wall. How would it look like? Okay, so find that detail here and then download this as a DWG. Create a new DWG file, insert it here, just like I showed you. Create a layer called Pen 1, change everything to Pen 1, remove the arrows like we did on that other drawing here. This is the original downloaded detail. We removed the arrows. We made everything red, and then we added these um, um, leaders and notes, not on this detail, but when we actually have inserted it on our S3 detail here. Okay, so I showed you all of how that was done. So find that detail, put it here as an exercise for our module 11.1 structural joist detail. Okay.